Hello, my friend, it's the Crypto Lunatic, bringing you hidden gems before they pop and simplifying the language of crypto for newcomers to the space. And today I bring you BONDEx. James BONDEx! That's what we're bringing. What is BONDEx? Well, it is a very curious platform. And potentially, from what I gather, this looks to be the Indeed or job site for crypto. So if you're looking for a crypto job, maybe BondX will be worth checking out, and you can check it out for yourself and work out whether this is any good. But that is on the surface what this looks to be. You can see from the chart in the background, it's had a bit of a down and up sort of trajectory, and we are in the degen zone, my friends. We are sub 10 million. We are properly in the degen zone. This is a very, very early stage project. Whether it's going to be the next LinkedIn or the next Indeed.com or something like that, we don't yet know. But it's good to know about these things early, isn't it? And today I'm going to explain how I found it, what it is, and I'm going to give you a neutral look at the project itself. Now, I'm not invested in BondX, and I'm not paid by the company to make this review. So you're getting complete neutrality, my friends. And with that in mind, join me on a little journey into the world of crypto. Before we even start, we start looking at the macro because crypto's bleeding, and a lot of people are saying we're in a bear market and it's all going downhill. This is ETF flow. And quite frankly, my friends, this looks dire at the moment. Now, as you'll know if you follow me, that I believe that the American government shutdown is significantly impacting the market at the moment. Now, we could be in a bear market, or we could just be at a retrace accumulation phase, ready to flush out any weak hands for a nice trip upwards. Now, I'm not here to tell you which one of those is about to happen. I'm here to talk about BondX today, my friends. But we always need to keep in mind the macro when we're looking at crypto. So it started here, and I went on. I went on trending on Coin Market Cap, and I saw a couple of projects. I saw this one, Paxi Network, but that was very, very small. That's certainly in the degen zone, my friends. Look, that's a 1.4 million. I did look into it, but the vesting looked very harsh on that. And BondX. So this seemed like a fair compromise. It's got a decent amount of volume. So we're seeing $87 million worth of volume for a coin that is under 10 million. And look, it's down 21% today, my friends. Down 21%. So could this be bargain basement? Or is this thing just going to zero? Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. So this is a resource just to show you how to assess cryptos. But you'd be foolish if you didn't take the macro into consideration. We've got massive fear in the market. We've got nowhere close to alt season, according to the indicators, and things are oversold. So this is a more positive indicator. But some would say that this is the best time to enter. Some would say it was the worst time, and only you can make that decision, my friend. So we go on to BondX. And what we see is that this thing started life at 7 cents, and it's not been up and running for that long. So this was on March 2025. Now, as we go through it, we see, look, it's been up and down and up and down. It's had a little spike since here. So it's gone up from 2 cents from, look at that, from Halloween. From Halloween, it was at a low of 2 cents, and now suddenly it's been spiking upwards and down and back up and back down. So there's a lot of volume going on. So what is actually happening with this coin? So one thing that you need to do is to learn to look through all of the hype and look through all of the false signals and do your own research, my friends. And the first thing that we see here is that only 16% of the supply is out. That's not a good sign. It really isn't. Now, this doesn't make much sense. Oh, hang on. Yes, it does. So we're under 10 million market cap, but even when all the coins are released, we're up to 62 million, which still makes it a relatively small coin. We see it on Binance Alpha. We also see it on a few reasonable size exchanges, which means that there's plenty of opportunity for people to get hold of it. Unlock progress. This says 47% unlocked. That doesn't add up. We're getting conflicting information, my friends, because there's no way that 47's unlocked if it's a 10 million market cap with a fully diluted value, which is why we never take a single point of entry data at face value. This is very conflicting as to what the actual unlocking is. But what we can see here is that there's a punishing vesting schedule ahead. Now, I'm going to show you why I don't think that's quite as big a thing with the price at this level at 0.06. But you follow this. This is how we do a complete assessment. Well, I say a complete assessment. No, this is not complete. This is just a basic overview. Holder distribution, that's not good. Almost 70% in the top 10 wallets. That's rarely a good thing. And here we see that BONDEx is building a next generation on-chain professional network that focuses on talent, reputation, and economic opportunities. So this platform aims to reshape the professional networking landscape, offering users decentralized space to establish verifiable reputations and access new economic opportunities. So maybe a LinkedIn, possibly. It's a way to find jobs in crypto. So if you're looking for a job in crypto, you may want to assess it and let me know how good this is. So first thing we go to is Nansen. And if we look here, oh, one more step before I proceed. Well, while it's waiting for one more step before I proceed, and it's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, we'll go to BSC scan. And what we'll see here is holders. And we see two wallets with most of the supply in. This is rarely a good thing, my friends. Now, these are either big exchanges or this is the central protocol wallets. But either way, this is a big warning sign. It's never a good thing to see big amounts of coins in a single wallet, unless there's a staking wallet for the protocol and it's a staking protocol. It's a DeFi platform. So that's a red flag. We go back to here, we go to Nansen. Now, this is significant, my friends. This is probably the most significant thing. Now, when we see liquidity on a coin that's 10 million, and there's only $2,500 of liquidity, that means that you'll be able to get into it, but it's very unlikely that you'll be able to get out right now. You'll be able to buy these coins, but you will not be able to sell them because there's no liquidity in the protocol. And just to fast forward there, let's bring this one to here. This is DEX tools. It shows you liquidity in multiple platforms. And look, $2,000 of liquidity, $12,000, a little bit better on that platform, $1,900. $28 on this one. Like, this is a terrible liquidity, my friends. Terrible. Terrible, terrible liquidity, which means that you only buy this coin if you have no rush to get out of it and a lot needs to happen. This is incredibly high risk, and this is this is something that is probably a red flag. It should be a terminal red flag for a lot of you. It's a very, very, very high risk project. And if you get in, you will not be able to get out at the moment unless the liquidity goes higher, which is baffling when we go back here and see the amount of volume. So somehow there's 57 million volume and there's no liquidity in this protocol, which tells me that these numbers are being manipulated. Tells me there's manipulation going on, my friends, and that you should not believe all that you see. Next thing, we go on to X and we see an insane amount of followers. So these are almost definitely a lot of bots. I'd like to be proved wrong on that. By all means, look to prove me wrong. That's a good amount of following. We see an entry for 5 hours ago. Now for 400 odd thousand followers, that's not a great amount, but it's still reasonably, it's reasonable. But look, here we are. Look, this came on 5 hours ago. And for all of these thousands of followers, only 8 people liked it, 12 people. Something is not adding up here as well. My little spidey senses are telling me that all is not as it seems when I look at their social media presence. But nonetheless, for all of that, if this thing is proves to be a great way to for people to get jobs on Web3 or crypto, then this could potentially be good. And not only that, it's got Animoca brands behind it. Now, they tend not to go into rubbish projects. So we're going to look into that further down the line. So let's go on the actual website. The website here, you can go and claim your profile and find some jobs, my friends. So anyone that's had a chance to look into it, and I have had a little look on my other profile, there are quite a few jobs there. So why don't you, if you've had a chance to look at this site and you are looking for jobs in Web3, then please comment, let people know. What's the experience like? What's the user experience like on this site? Because if it is connecting people with jobs, then it could be very useful. We go on crypto rank, as you know, and look, the price is going down even as I do this review. It's going down, my friends. It's now below 6 cents. Same market cap. Now, this gives a more realistic statement. So 16%. Again, that's not great. This, my friends, is great. So the people that got into the ICO here back in March 2024 are sitting on a 25% loss, which is why having a low supply out there at the moment is not as worrying because everybody's sitting on a loss. The odds of dumpage is very low. Now we see an undisclosed round here. Now, you know me and undisclosed rounds. I go to Grok and I find out to the best of their capability what is the price that they got in. And Grok estimates somewhere around 5 cents, which is not that far away from where we are now, my friends. It's not that far away. So what that tells me is that all of the early stage investors have got in at roughly or less than the price that it's currently trading at, even though there's no liquidity. So finally, we go to what I've been evolving with my Claude AI prompt. Now, this is the first time I've tested the new version of it, and it's very much a work in progress, my friends. So we're not going to pay too much attention to this at the moment. But nonetheless, it does give me a supplement, an executive summary, quick assessment. So BONDEx is a Web3 powered professional networking platform positioning itself as a decentralized alternative to LinkedIn. The project focused on talent recruitment, reputation systems, user-owned data, integrating blockchain technology with traditional professional networking. Launched in 2021, BONDEx has achieved significant user growth with 5+ million app downloads and 400,000 plus monthly active users. Now, if this is anywhere close to being true, that tells me that we're sitting on potentially a really interesting opportunity. 400,000 monthly active users, 5 million app downloads. Now, that is exciting. So, project strengths. BONDEx demonstrates strong product market fit, signals are measurable, traction in user acquisition. So the platform has successfully onboarded 5 million users. 5 million users, my friends. Now, if that is true, if this metric's true, then we could be looking at a hidden gem here. We could be. So let's look at weaknesses as well. So extreme price volatility. Now, all crypto is going to be exposed to that, my friends. It really is. It really is. And only 16% of the tokens out. That is also a very high risk. Low liquidity, small amount of tokens out. All of these things stack up to massively high risk. There's no way of skirting around that. There really isn't. So, key investor highlights. Well, we've already talked about that. 400K monthly active users, 2 million completed profiles, measurable adoption metrics. So it's been listed on Binance Alpha. Now, this is big. It's got on Binance. That's huge. It's got institutional backing. 4 million are funded, led by Animoca Brands and Morningstar Ventures. And they've entered at a price that is not that far away from the price it's currently trading at. It's extremely volatile, major token unlocks. But this is the thing with token unlocks, my friends, why you have to take everything with a pinch of salt. So usually having lots of tokens unlocked is a bad thing, but that's only a bad thing when the price is significantly higher than what they paid. Now, the price is not significantly higher to what they paid, so the chances of dumpage are low. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. So the core strength of the project is 62%. The strength of the team is 68%. Now, this is good. And the current opportunity score is 43. But I am going to point out I've gone through this prompt, and most of this is a low score because we cannot access certain data points. And I have put in this prompt that there is a massive penalties for where we can't find data or up-to-date data. So this is possibly a false dawn, but 58% is the overall project score, which is roundabout average. About 60% is average, but this is a very low cap coin. Now, this is the main summary. There's going to be a lot of data now that really isn't, it's going to be up and down and it's going to be looking at things. But I've tried to do this as an all-inclusive prompt to look at the overall market. So current market context. So we've got indicators here with the moving averages, bearish, below market average, neutral, extreme fear, low volatility, risk off. So it's telling you not to enter effectively. Again, a lot of metrics I've gone through with this. I'm working on this prompt, my friends. You've had the main summary here. You really have with this percentage, which I'd say is probably a little harsh because a lot of it's down because there's certain metrics that we cannot track. So critical data points. So we've got all of these. It's been able to track these data points. Some it hasn't been able to obtain. Limited data on government governance structure and audit reports. But quite frankly, my friends, you're probably not going to get much down here. But this is all good. Look, so we're able to find who the team are. They're all docs. We've got holders active. That's good. No major exploits found. No SEC actions. All of these tend to be positive. These two are untested. So, frankly, my friends, I'm still working on this, but here we go. Comparable projects as well. So, projects with bigger market caps, comparability score. So, let's look at the source. So, it's similar professional network, token incentivized. So, we've got Fava, Rally, and Vibrate. Now, I've not looked into any of these, my friends, so I can't tell you how they compare. But look, Fava's got a much bigger market cap, and so has Rally. So whether how it rates to those, we're not sure. Comparability, again, this is a metric that I'm working on as well. Exchange distribution here. So I'm not going to get you bogged down with too much detail of that prompt. I'm really not, because I've given you the summary of it. But the overall view, just through looking at BONDEx, and bear in mind, this video is just designed to show you how to think for yourself, especially with these Degen coins. This is super high risk. So what's my summary? My summary is they're operating in a very interesting place. So with the advent of AI, there's going to be a massive displacement of human resources. And I believe a lot of people are going to be moving into crypto. Now, are they going to use LinkedIn? Are they going to use Indeed or Reed or other job sites? We don't know. How niche this is, how well placed it is. There certainly seems to be plenty of jobs there from some serious players on there. And it seems to have incredible adoption, but it's got incredibly low liquidity at the moment, which means that this is risky, very risky, my friends. But it is operating at round about the price that the early stage investors got in at. So it's right at the beginning of the game. So is this a good investment or not? I'm on the fence with this one, my friends. I'm not invested in it. I will not be investing in it. But this looks potentially promising to those that think that they could call it a recruitment market. And if the metrics of adoption are anywhere close to what they're saying they are, then this could be massive. It could be a big opportunity. But I am a lunatic. What would I know as I sit on the Lunar Café, my friends? What do you think? Do you think that this project is destined for greatness? Or is this just another plum for the mix? Let me know, my friends. Share your experiences, your questions in the comments. And apart from anything else, stay lunatic, have fun, and make money with crypto.